Hello, third grade, and welcome to our reading skill for today. We're going to continue looking at figurative language and deciding which type of figurative language is being used. We're learning about our last one today, personification, but first we're going to review the ones we have already done. Alliteration is when they use words with the same beginning sound. Remember, figurative language means something different than it says. So it would use the same beginning sound and mean something different than it says. And a hyperbole is an exaggeration. Make sure you're typing these out along with me. Metaphors compare two things using is or are, and all the variations of that. Am, were, onomatopoeia are sound words. So those would be words like boom, crash. Similes compare two things, but they use like or as. And finally, for personification. Personification gives human qualities to objects or things that don't have human qualities. Let's look at that a little bit more on the next page. Pause the video if you need to go back and type any of these out. And I'll meet you on the next page. Now, personification gives animals feelings or other qualities that they probably don't already have. Here are some examples. The sun peeked happily behind the clouds. Now, a sun can't peek, right? It doesn't have eyes. So it gave that quality to the sun. That's called personification. What that means is that a little bit of sun was showing. Our second example says, I can see that news travels quickly. That doesn't mean that a newspaper has a briefcase and is moving really fast. The news, the object, travels. That's something that humans can do. This really means that that people share news quickly. And finally, for our last one, that ice cream is really tempting me. That doesn't mean that the ice cream itself is going, come here, come over to me. It's really just meaning that it sounds really good. You're looking at it, it sounds really good. Ice cream sounds good to eat. For our skills practice for today, we will be identifying which type of figurative language each one of these examples are. We'll do the evens together and then you will do the odds. Let's go ahead and begin. Number 2. So we have to decide if it's a hyperbole, metaphor, personification, simile, onomatopoeia, or alliteration. If it is one of those, I'm going to highlight why it is that. Mr. Johnson has been teaching here since the Stone Age. That means a really, really long time ago. Now, he probably wasn't even alive in the Stone Age, so that is an exaggeration. Remember, an exaggerated statement is a hyperbole. So I'll write that at the bottom. When you're writing yours, try to write it in a different color so I can see it. So I highlighted Y, and then I wrote my answer below. On to number 4. Samantha soared down the street on her sleek skateboard. Now the beginning sound S repeats a lot in this sentence. If the same beginning sound is being repeated, what type of figurative language is that? That's alliteration. Type alliteration below. Moving on to number 6. Morgan Mouse munched marshmallows merrily. That has the same theme. Begins with all the same beginning sounds. So that is also alliteration. And finally, number 8. The promise between us was a delicate flower. Oh, I see that key word. Was, and they're comparing promise and the flower. So what's something that compares two things and uses was? That's a metaphor. For your practice, you'll be doing the even numbers on the other side by highlighting your evidence and then writing the figurative language type below.